Hello AOS fans, it's me Pete, and I'm here to go through the Gnarlspirit pack from the Gnarlwood core box. I'm just going to run through all the cards, quickly highlight some of the things I spot on them, and generally talk about what I feel about each of the cards in a small amount of detail. I'm not going to go into too much depth, but I'm just going to give you all the cards so you can see them and make your own decisions as well. Do like, subscribe, leave a comment below on the cards that you think are the best in here, what killer combinations you've spotted. All of the interactions really do help the channel, push us further out into the world. So let's start with Gaul Spinehapper. He's a big lad with a big hammer. He's got typical Stormcast stats, 3 move, 1 defense, 4 wounds, and he's got the Spine Hammer, which is 2 hammers, 3 damage, and knockback 1. He inspires after you remove a spirit counter from his card, so we'll see more about spirit counters soon. He has a special order Struggle. At the start of this fighter's activation, you can give this fighter 1 spirit counter or remove this fighter's spirit counters, so you either add 1 or remove all of them. And you also have Overcome. While this fighter has 1 or more spirit counters, he gets +1 defense. He's a beast and cannot be inspired, so you can't inspire whilst you've got spirit counters, so we'll have to bear that in mind. When he doesn't have any spirit counters and he does inspire, he becomes Gaul Inspired. He's a brawler, I forgot to mention that before, but that is in his uninspired form too. He keeps the same stat line. His Spine Hammer stays mostly the same, but it goes to knockback 2 and stagger, which is not bad. And also, while this fighter has 1 or more spirit counters, he is uninspired, so he can switch between being inspired and uninspired, so that could probably get tricky. He has the Struggle special rule still, and he also has Beast Breaker. Beast Breaker is friendly beasts within 2 hexes of this fighter can hold objectives, and you can re-roll 1 dice in the defense rolls for those beasts. Nice, so maybe keeping him inspired and making others beastly might be a good way to go if you want to grab objectives. Up next we've got the leader, Sarakar Blackwing. He is a level 2 wizard. He's got a move of 4, 2 dodge to start with and 4 wounds, which isn't bad. He's got a range 2, 2 hammer, 2 damage staff, which seems pretty par for the course. And he has his Raptor Bolt, which is a range 3, swirlies and 1 damage, again, pretty par for the course. He has the Struggle ability, which we've also seen on Gaul's card, and he has the same Inspire step by removing all the spirit counters from him. His Overcome is while this fighter has 1 or more spirit counters, he has +2 move, and he's a beast, is flying and cannot be inspired, so he gets quite fast, quite quick. When he's inspired, his stat line remains exactly the same again. His Wild Staff goes to 3 hammers, his Raptor Blast goes to 2 damage and gains Cleave, which is not bad. While this fighter has 1 or more spirit counters, as always, this fighter is uninspired, and he has the Struggle special rule this side as well, so pretty much the same as Gaul in that respect. They're going to be jumping between inspiring and not inspiring. Next up we've got Lupin Longcut. He's a hunter, or she's a hunter, hard to tell from the picture. A move of 4, 1 dodge and 3 wounds. The long cut is 2 hammers, 1 damage, but it has impact. And the silent knife is range 1, 3 swords and 2 damage. Again, same inspiration condition, has struggle as well. This fighter's Overcome special rule is while this fighter has 1 or more spirit counters, they get +1 move. Also, they count double assists to successes in attack and defense rolls, and they're a beast and cannot be inspired. The impact special rule here is you get +1 damage when made during a charge action, so basically running and lobbing spears, a bit like we've seen with Jagathra. Lupin is also a hunter, which I forgot to mention, and on the inspired side, the stats mostly stay the same, but he gains 1 dodge. The long cut goes to 3 hammers, retains the impact but doesn't change on damage, and the silent knife gains Grievous 1 on a crit. Same uninspiring conditions, same struggle. The impact is +1 damage as we've already seen, and Beast Guide special rule means that this fighter supports each friendly beast, so that's quite nice. You don't have to be near people to be able to support them when inspired. And last but probably not least is Crimson Kira. She's a brawler. She's got a move of 4, 1 shield and 3 wounds. Lots of different stat lines across these fighters. She's got Clawed Axes, which is a range of 1, 3 swords and 2 damage, which isn't bad. And she's got her Berserk Assault, which is 4 swords and 1 damage and has the Unleash special rule. The Unleash special rule is Grievous 1 and Scything if this fighter's a beast. That is quite beastly. She has the same Inspire and Uninspire conditions as all the other fighters, and she has the Struggle rule from Gaul's card as well. When she is Overcome and has more spirit counters, she gains a +1 move, and she is a beast and cannot be inspired, so she gains the least by being a beast, really. But the Unleash, when she's a beast, that is quite tasty, to give it Scything and make a Grievous 1. That could be quite nasty. When Kira inspires, her stat line stays the same. Her Clawed Axes stay the same on the stats, but they gain Cleave and Grievous 1 as standard. She does lose the Berserk Assault ability. and she doesn't have any other special rules when she's inspired, so she's probably one of the more chafy ones of the bunch, but there we go. So now onto the main deck. Starting with the power cards, we've got Dulling Venom. It's a poison. I don't know if we've seen many of these recently. I know I haven't, but that much because I haven't remembered them. You choose one enemy fighter adjacent to one or more friendly beasts, so you have to make sure your fighters are beasts. Remembering who's a beast and who isn't could get tricky. The chosen fighter is staggered. This effect persists until the chosen fighter is taken out of action. Nice, that's a stagger effect that just retains the whole time. Next is Fierce Competition. +1 dice to the first attack action made by a friendly fighter in the next activation. Pretty standard. +2 dice instead if that fighter is supported by one or more friendly beasts and or inspired fighters. Even better. Then Hasty Pillage. Pick one feature token in enemy territory in the same hex as a friendly fighter. Remove that feature token from the battlefield, then give that fighter one charge token. Nice. So we have seen that other people have the ability to remove objectives from the board before, and if you haven't, do check out our summary of all the rule changes, because there's things can be done with those objective counters now. We then have Hunting Aspect. In the next activation, friendly fighters have the following abilities. So this is all your fighters, all your friendly fighters, they gain all of these abilities. Gaul, after this fighter's first action, heals 1. Kira, after this first fighter's action, deal 1 damage to one adjacent enemy fighter. Nice. And Lupin, this fighter's attack actions have Cleave and Ensnare. And Sarakar gains +1 wizard level. I mean, that's quite nice. And, you know, he'll go to level 3. Hopefully he's got some nice spells in here to abuse that. Next is In Control. Play this only if there are one or more friendly fighters that are not beasts. Push each friendly beast up to 1 hex. Not bad. Free moves are hard to come by sometimes, so it's nice to get them. Next is Self-Command. Remove one friendly fighter's spirit counters and give that fighter 1 guard token. Nice, I could see that being useful in certain circumstances to quickly switch between. Then Spurred Onwards. +1 move to the first friendly fighter to make a move action in the next activation, pretty standard. Or +2 move if that fighter is a beast and or more other surviving friendly fighters are not beasts. Interesting. Then we have the Binding. It's a gambit spell. If cast, remove any number of spirit counters from any number of friendly fighters. You heal 1 each fighter that has at least 1 spirit counter removed in this way. It's nice to get a nice big group healing buff going on there. And yeah, that could be handy, suddenly turning everybody from beast to inspired, possibly. Vicious Blow. The first range 1 attack action made by a friendly fighter in the next activation gains Grievous, or +1 damage instead if that fighter is a beast and one or more other surviving friendly fighters are not beasts. Interesting, again it's playing with the having some inspired and some beasts mechanic. Violent Transformation. I like the artwork on these cards, I've got to say, they're pretty funky. Choose one friendly fighter that is holding an objective token. Remove that objective token from the battlefield and give the chosen fighter 1 spirit counter and 1 stagger token. So that's 2 ways so far we seem to be able to remove objectives. Now onto the upgrades. Brute Resilience, +1 wound. I mean, pretty standard stuff. Next is Denbreaker, which gives you a reaction. After this fighter's activation, if this fighter is holding an objective in enemy territory, remove that objective token from the battlefield. Then pick one, give this fighter 1 charge token, or break this card. It's, I mean, and a third way to possibly even remove 3, 4 or more objectives from the battlefield. Then Envenomed Spurs. That is a pretty cool artwork, I like that. It's an attack action mutation. You can give this to a beast. Plus, that's interesting. That's I think one of the first attack actions we've seen that can be given to beasts. And it gives them 2 swords and 1 damage, which isn't fantastic really. But it gives a reaction as well. After this fighter's activation, if there are 1 or more enemy fighters adjacent to this fighter makes this attack action. Ooh, nice bonus attacks. Then Preternatural Senses. You can reroll 1 dice in this fighter's defense roll, and this fighter ignores the rules for cover hexes while making an attack action. Not bad. Raging Companion is next. It's an attack action and it's a denizen. Interesting. You can give this to a beast, so it's another attack action that can go to beasts. It's 3 swords and 1 damage. It's alright. It can only go on your leader. It gives a reaction. After this fighter's spell attack action, make this attack action. So it's another bonus attack, which could be nice to really build those up. Next is Surfaced Instincts. Again, I like the artwork on this card, the way they've done this. It looks fantastic. When this fighter is the target of an attack action, ignore the rules for Cleave and Ensnare. Nice. We've then got Trophy of Fortitude. This fighter is on guard while this fighter has no charge and or stagger tokens. It also has a reaction. After a friendly fighter's attack action that takes an enemy fighter out of action, if this card's in your hand you can give this upgrade to the friendly fighter, and this does not cost any glory. So this is like a mutation, but it's specifically not a mutation, it's a trophy, so it's a bit like a Dark Blessing or something like that instead from the gods. Trophy of Strength is next. +1 damage to this fighter's range 1 and 2 attack actions, so it's a bit like a Great Strength. and it also has the same reaction as the previous card, so if you take an enemy fighter out of action, you can give this to them for no glory. And then we've got the Wily Hunter. Good that they got the spelling right on that one, it could be dodgy. It gives you a reaction. After this fighter's activation, if this fighter made one or more attack actions, you can push this fighter 1 hex. Could be brutal for a fighter that's, you know, going to be making a lot of attacks for you and gives them a bit more maneuverability. And then we have Trophy of Vision. It +1 wizard level, so you could theoretically make this guy a level 4 wizard for a short period of time and make him a level 3 wizard for a very long time. This fighter has line of sight to each fighter. This does not change this fighter's distance from those fighters or the range of this fighter's attack actions. Okay, interesting to specify that, but I can see why they might do that. And it gives him a reaction. After a friendly wizard's attack action, that takes an enemy fighter out of action. If this card's in your hand, you can give the upgrade to the friendly wizard. So again, it's a bit like a mutation, but it's a trophy instead. Giving him 3 levels, I mean, it's quite nice, but there weren't many spells in here that I remember seeing, so it's of limited use. Obviously his spell attack action does improve because he'll be rolling more dice with that, but I mean, overall, if that's all he's going to be using it for, I guess if he's inspired, he does 2 damage on it, so you could be rolling 3 or 4 dice doing 2 damage with cleave, but I don't know, is it that good? Maybe it's alright, it's not bad I suppose, and it could be a free upgrade, so can't sniff at a free upgrade. So now onto the objectives. This has 6 surge cards again. It's nice to see that they're starting to make a bit more standard in the builds of the objectives and the deck design in general. And the first one is Oath of Fortitude, so it's nice to see that we've got some oaths again, much like in the Godsworn Hunt days. This is a hybrid card. You may reveal this card at the start of your first turn in a round and then return it to your hand. You score this in an end phase if there are 3 or more surviving friendly fighters, or there are 1 or more surviving friendly fighters and no friendly fighters were taken out of action in this round. If you reveal this card, you gain 1 additional glory. So it's only 1 glory, but if you do reveal it at the start, tip your opponent off of what you're going to be doing, and then score it still at the end, you'll get 2 glory instead of 1. We've then got Oath of Ruin. Same way, you can reveal it at the start and then return it to your hand. And you score it immediately after your warband removes an objective in the enemy territory. Well, we've got multiple ways of being able to do that. Or your warband takes an inspired enemy fighter in the enemy territory out of action. Again, it's 1 glory, or 2 if you show it off at the start. I think these are much better than the Godsworn Hunt objectives, I must say. We then have Oath of Slaughter. It's another oath, so you can reveal it at the start and then return it to your hand. And you score immediately, so it's a surge as well, of course, if a second or subsequent enemy fighter is taken out of action in the same round, or a large enemy fighter is taken out of action. Again, if you reveal at the start, you're getting 2 glory instead of 1. And then Oath of the Hunt. Again, reveal at the start, put it back in your hand, and you score this in an end phase if each surviving friendly fighter has 1 or more charge tokens, and each of those fighters is in enemy territory. If you reveal this card at the start, you gain 2 instead of 1, and it doesn't have to be a minimum number of fighters, so you can score this with just 1 fighter, so that's not bad. Next is Rapid Raid. You score this in an end phase if each surviving friendly fighter is in enemy territory. I think we can see that the general gist of this deck is get up in your opponent's grill. We've then got Raise and Pillage. It's a dual card. You score this in end phase if 1 or more friendly fighters are on a featured token in enemy territory, and each surviving friendly fighter in enemy territory has 1 or more upgrades. It's a tough one, it's 2 glory, but I mean, you might end up taking a lot of objectives off for some of the other things and then find you've got not many to stand on. But it is only 1 or more friendly fighters on feature tokens, so maybe it's not so hard, but each surviving friendly fire has to have 1 or more upgrades. That could be trickier, but it is 2 glory. We then have Return to Ruin. Score this in an end phase if there is a friendly fighter on each feature token in enemy territory. That might be tough, especially if you accidentally take them all out, but yeah, possible. Or there are no objective tokens in enemy territory. That might be easier, and it is a 3 glory card, which is quite nice. Next up is Savage, which is a surge. You score this immediately after a friendly beast attack action that takes the target out of action. So being a beast, killing people, all good, get a glory. Shocking Raid is next. It's another surge. You score this immediately after your warband's second or subsequent successful attack action in the same round. So it doesn't have to kill people, it just has to be successful. Not bad. True Selves. Score this in end phase if each surviving friendly fighter is either inspired or a beast. That might be pretty easy to accomplish, and it's only 1 glory, so not bad. Then we have Well Rewarded, another surge. Score this immediately after you give a fighter the 3rd or subsequent upgrade. It's putting all your eggs in one basket, but it is a surge, and you know, some of those upgrades are free, so maybe not too bad. And then we have Worthy Deed. It's a surge hybrid. You score this immediately after a friendly fighter's attack action that takes an enemy fighter out of action. If that enemy fighter's wounds characteristic is higher than the attacker's, possible, or that enemy fighter has more upgrades than the attacker. I mean, either of those might be doable. It is a surge. It is a hybrid, so you've got multiple ways of doing it. It's just one glory for killing somebody, but you do have to kill someone that's bigger than you. Possibly easier if you're up against more elite warbands, less so if you're up against gits or things like that. But as it's a hybrid, you've got multiple ways of scoring it, so you've got options there. So that is the Gnarlspirit pack. They've got some really funky stuff going on there. Inspire mechanic and becoming overcome is all quite funky. It's going to blow my brain to try and work all that stuff out. How are you guys and girls at home feeling about that one? Overall, I'm really enjoying the deck design here. So let me know what your favourite card combos and individual cards are there. Being able to make your leader a level 4 wizard is quite cool, but when he only has one spell to back that up apart from his attack, maybe that's not so great. I don't know. But then you could always take a Rivals deck that has loads of spells in it as well to really utilise that, I guess. I really love the artwork, and I think GW are just getting better and better with these warband designs. As always, please do like, subscribe, thumbs up and comments all help the channel massively, and we'll see you soon in the Gnarlwood.